Welcome to Signals of Sound. I think it's only right to kickstart my channel with a tribute to one of music's greatest icons, the one and only Ozzy Osbourne. There are rock stars, and then there's Ozzy Osbourne, a man who lived life in the fast lane, substance-filled lifestyle that saw him cheat death many times, from humble beginnings in Aston to pioneering heavy metal, biting bats, battling illness, and bowing out with dignity at his final show, just weeks before he passed away, going out on his own terms in the most heavy metal way possible. This is the story of the Prince of Darkness. This is Ozzy. Ozzy was born in 1948 in post-war Aston, Birmingham. His father worked in a factory and his mother was a cleaner. They shared a tiny house with 6 children, money was scarce and so was hope. Ozzy struggled in school, dyslexic, misunderstood and frequently in trouble. He was drawn to mischief, but also to music. Then, at age 14, he heard the Beatles. He described hearing She Loves You as going to bed in black and white and waking up in colour. And from that moment on, he wanted to be just like them. It was around this time he started performing, first in small bands and eventually with childhood friend Geezer Butler. But Birmingham wasn't a place of flower power. It was smoke, steel, gloom. And soon, the sound, the darkness would find its voice. By 1968, Ozzy, Geezer, guitarist Tony Iommi and drummer Bill Ward had formed a band called Earth. But they quickly renamed themselves after a horror film playing across the street, Black Sabbath. They go to sound like the scary movies people love to watch, and they did. The self-entitled album Black Sabbath released on Friday the 13th, 1970, and it was a revelation. Dark riffs, thunderous drums, occult themes. It was the birth of heavy metal. Songs like Paranoid, Iron Man, War Pigs turned Sabbath into legends. And Ozzy, his eerie nasal vocals became the voice of the apocalypse. They weren't just a band, they were a movement. And Ozzy was at the heart, unpredictable, wild and magnetic. But success came with a price. Drugs, booze, chaos, repeat. Ozzy's addiction spiraled out of control. He became unreliable, erratic and eventually expendable. In 1979, Black Sabbath made the brutal decision and fired Ozzy. He was heartbroken. He thought it was over. Enter Sharon Arden. Daughter of music mogul Dawn Arden, Sharon saw potential in Ozzy, where others saw a lost cause. She took control, first of his career and then eventually of his heart. Together, they built a solo empire. His debut album, Blizzard of Oz, in 1980 was a smash hit. He gave us classics like Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley, and introduced guitar prodigy Randy Rhoads to the mix. Ozzy wasn't just back, he was bigger than ever. January 1982, a fan throws what Ozzy thinks is a rubber bat on stage. He bites his head off. It wasn't rubber, it was real. He was rushed to hospital and got rabies shots, and a new reputation, the Prince of Darkness. From there, the legends multiplied. From snorting ants with Motley Crue, urinating on the Alamo, and getting arrested in Sharon's dress, Ozzy became a myth and a man stitched together by riffs and blood. But tragedy struck soon after. In March 1982, while on tour in Florida, Randy Rhoads died in a horrific plane crash. He was just 25. Ozzy was devastated. He'd finally found a musical soulmate and lost him overnight. He later said it was the closest he ever came to quitting music altogether. But instead, he carried Randy's music and memory with him in his songs, in spirit. In every guitar solo that followed, it was a loss that never truly left him. Then he became a reality star. The Osbournes debuted on MTV in 2002 and it was an instant hit. Fans got to see Ozzy, not as the wild man of rock, but the lovable, confused, foul-mouthed dad, yelling at remote controls, chasing his dogs and mumbling his way through family life. It was chaos, it was hilarious, and it showed a new side of Ozzy, not the myth, the man. It made him relevant to a whole new generation. People who'd never heard Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, but knew exactly how he said, "Sharon!" By the 2020s, Ozzy was battling Parkinson's disease, neck and spinal surgeries from a horror quad bike accident, infections and falls, and yet he still released music. Collaborating with Post Malone, Tony Iommi, Eric Clapton among others, his albums Ordinary Man in 2020 and Patient Number 9 in 2022 were surprisingly strong. Ozzy couldn't jump, couldn't walk unassisted, but he still sang. He was evolving into something new, an elder statesman of chaos. Ozzy performed one last time at the Back to the Beginning charity gig in Aston Villa Stadium, teaming up with the guitar wizard Zach Weld for a solo set that included Mama I'm Coming Home, a short but soul-bearing set, and he pushed himself to his ultimate limits, performing a set with the original lineup of Sabbath, those young boys from Aston with a dream finally realised, and giving back to the millions of fans around the world. The gig raised around 140 million for charities and included performances from Metallica, Slayer, Guns N' Roses, Pantera, among many, many others. 17 days later, he was gone. The final performance was his true goodbye, and we didn't know it yet. He didn't need to say it was the end, his eyes said everything. One of music's most indestructible icons had finally faded to black. He wasn't just the voice of Sabbath, he was the soul of heavy metal. He made us laugh, made us gasp, he made us believe in the impossible, and now he's gone. But his voice, his echo, that will never die. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a performer, he was a paradox, a soft-spoken man who screamed, a loving father who set hotel rooms on fire, a fragile human who outlived gods. He showed us that pain can be turned into power, that chaos can be an art form, and even darkness has its poetry. And in the end, he didn't just leave a legacy, he left a howl in the silence. Rest in peace, Ozzy, and thank you for everything. I'll leave you with the words of the man himself. I'm not afraid of death, I'm just going home. Rest in power, Prince of Darkness. Thanks for watching, I hope you tune in next time.